Welcome to Wealthfinity, where we bring you the latest insights and analysis on global economic events. In recent years, Zimbabwe has been facing a severe economic crisis characterized by hyperinflation, which has caused widespread socio-economic hardships for its citizens. With the inflation rate reaching unprecedented levels, people are struggling to cope with skyrocketing prices of goods and services, and the value of their savings has plummeted. In this video, we will explore how people in Zimbabwe are reacting to the hyperinflation crisis, the challenges they face, and the possible solutions that could help alleviate their suffering. So, stay tuned to Wealthfinity for a deep dive into this critical issue. Zimbabwe's hyperinflation crisis of the early 2000s was a defining moment in the country's economic history. At its peak, inflation rates skyrocketed to an unimaginable 79.6 billion%, rendering the Zimbabwean dollar practically worthless. In this article, we will delve into the factors that contributed to this crisis and its devastating effects on the country's economy. It began implementing land reform policies that resulted in the seizure of white-owned farmland without compensation. The beginning of Zimbabwe's hyperinflation crisis. Zimbabwe's hyperinflation crisis can be traced back to the early 2000s when the country's government. This policy led to a decrease in agricultural output, which was the backbone of Zimbabwe's economy, and a subsequent decline in exports, which led to a decrease in foreign investment and a decrease in revenue from exports. As a result, the government started printing money to finance its operations, leading to an increase in the money supply and, ultimately, inflation. The government's decision to print money to finance its operations was further exacerbated by the global financial crisis of 2008. As the economy continued to deteriorate, the government's response was to print more money, leading to hyperinflation. The causes of Zimbabwe's hyperinflation are complex and multifaceted. In this article, we will explore the various factors that contributed to the crisis and the effects it had on the country. Causes of Zimbabwe's hyperinflation. Government policies. One of the main causes of Zimbabwe's hyperinflation was the government's policies, particularly regarding land reform. In the early 2000s, the government began seizing land from white farmers without compensation, which led to a decrease in agricultural productivity. The government also printed money to finance its operations, leading to a significant increase in the money supply and inflation. Economic sanctions. Another significant factor that contributed to Zimbabwe's hyperinflation was economic sanctions imposed by the international community. The sanctions, which were aimed at pressuring the government to respect human rights and democracy, resulted in a decrease in foreign investment and a decline in the country's economy. Political instability. Zimbabwe's political instability also played a role in the hyperinflation crisis. The country experienced a wave of political violence, with the government cracking down on opposition leaders and supporters. This led to a decline in investor confidence and a decrease in foreign investment. Effects of Zimbabwe's hyperinflation. Economic collapse. Zimbabwe's hyperinflation led to an economic collapse, with many businesses shutting down and unemployment rates skyrocketing. The collapse of the economy also led to a decrease in the country's GDP and an increase in poverty rates. Currency instability. The hyperinflation crisis led to a lack of faith in Zimbabwe's currency, with many people resorting to bartering or using foreign currency instead. This instability made it difficult for businesses to operate and made it challenging for the government to control inflation. Social and political unrest. The hyperinflation crisis also led to social and political unrest in Zimbabwe. The government's policies led to a rise in social and political tensions, with many people protesting against the government's actions. The government responded with force, leading to further unrest and instability in the country, which saw the use of foreign currencies such as the US dollar and South African rand as legal tender. The road to recovery. The government of Zimbabwe eventually abandoned the Zimbabwean dollar and adopted a multi-currency system in 2009. This move stabilized the economy and brought inflation under control, although it also led to a decrease in the availability of foreign currencies, making it difficult for businesses to operate. The government also implemented economic reforms, including the privatization of state-owned enterprises and the removal of price controls. These measures helped to boost economic growth and attract foreign investment, leading to a gradual recovery of the economy. During this period, prices of goods and services doubled every 24 hours. The Zimbabwean government had to print more money to pay its bills, leading to a cycle of hyperinflation that ultimately made the Zimbabwean dollar worthless. The economic downturn in the country had a significant impact on the population's quality of life. The unemployment rate skyrocketed, and basic goods such as bread and sugar became scarce. However, in 2009, the Zimbabwean government decided to abandon its currency and replace it with a basket of currencies that included the US dollar, the euro, and the South African rand. This was a crucial move that helped the country to stabilize its economy and control hyperinflation. By adopting multiple currencies, the Zimbabwean government was able to rein in inflation and bring stability to the economy. The country began to attract foreign investors, and economic growth started to rebound. However, the use of multiple currencies had its downsides. For instance, the country could not print its currency, which meant that it had to rely on other countries' currencies. Zimbabwe's hyperinflation crisis was a devastating economic event that had far-reaching effects on the country's economy and society. The crisis was caused by a combination of government policies, economic sanctions, and political instability. The effects of the crisis were widespread, leading to an economic collapse, currency instability, and social and political unrest. While the country has made some progress in recent years, the scars of the hyperinflation crisis still remain, serving as a reminder of the importance of sound economic policies and political stability. Zimbabwe's hyperinflation crisis was a defining moment in the country's economic history, with devastating effects on its citizens and economy. The crisis was caused by a combination of factors, including government policies, the global financial crisis, and the printing of money to finance operations. The road to recovery has been a long and difficult one, but the government's decision to abandon the Zimbabwean dollar and adopt a multi-currency system and implement economic reforms has helped stabilize the economy and restore investor confidence. However, the scars of the hyperinflation crisis still linger, and Zimbabwe's economy continues to face challenges in achieving sustained economic growth and development. In conclusion, the Zimbabwe hyperinflation crisis has had a profound impact on the lives of its citizens. This video sheds light on how people are reacting to the crisis, from the frustration and despair of those struggling to make ends meet to the resilience and resourcefulness of those finding creative ways to cope with the economic challenges. To the resilience and resourcefulness of those finding creative ways to cope with the economic challenges. It is clear that the hyperinflation has caused widespread suffering and upheaval, but it is also heartening to see how people are coming together to support one another and adapt to the difficult circumstances. The Zimbabwean people have shown incredible strength and determination in the face of adversity. And we can only hope that their resilience will help them weather this crisis and emerge stronger in the years to come.